Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 16th of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined by a full squad. We're at full strength here this morning. First of all, by Johnny McFarlane. How are we doing, Johnny?
Good, and only 3 minutes late as well. People will be giving us lots of kudos in the comments, I'm sure. Firing off loads of compliments about the fact that we are so on time by comparison with normal.
Yeah. Euan Robertson also joins us. How are we doing, Euan?
Good. The mornings are tough for me with my hay fever, but I'm battling through here. So,
how is that? Because I see a lot of people struggling at the moment. I'm fortunately, touch wood, it's not something that really affects me, but I get the old puffy face syndrome going on there.
Yeah, it's the puffy eyes and the nose, and usually as the day progresses, it gets better. But
you're still better looking than the two of us, so you're doing all right.
No, I definitely agree with that. But I'm the only person in Scotland that can't wait for the rain to come back, so that's better for me.
Yeah, roll on winter is what I say. I cannot stand this heat. I've got to say it's not suited, not built for summertime. That's for sure. That we've been sweltering down here. Right, let's talk all things Rangers. Before we do that, just a quick word, as ever, for our podcast sponsors, Seneca Hair Restoration, the top guys to go to if you're looking for a hair transplant, folks. As mentioned, every weekday, all their transplants carried out by doctors, so they know what they're doing. And they've won multiple awards as well. So if it's something that you're thinking about, perhaps looking to restore some lost self-confidence, then give these guys a call. You will not be disappointed. And Uncle Dave is happy that I've read out that spiel. He's a big fan of the Seneca guys. So good to have you on board, Dave. Right, let's talk Rangers. We have a new signing, guys. Of course, the fourth acquisition of the summer. Sam Lammers putting pen to paper yesterday. He was announced by Rangers, and he joins the three players that arrived before him: Jack Butland, Dujon Sterling, and Kieran Dill. Rangers paying a substantial fee to Atalanta to acquire his services. Seen £3.5 million reported as the fee to bring the Dutchman to Ibrox. He gave an interview to Rangers TV yesterday. He says, "I'm really excited to play for Rangers. It's a big club, good opportunity for me. The first contact was with the manager. He spoke to me directly and gave me a good feeling. He told me what I was looking for, and I think this is a new start. I needed a new home. In the last few years, I've been on loan a couple of times, so it's good that I can sign for Rangers for 4 more years and have a new home and a place to feel good again." He was asked what the fans can expect from him. He says, "I'm a striker. I think I have good technique. I can shoot with both legs, so that's also a positive side. I like to score goals, of course. Hopefully, I will score a lot of goals for Rangers." He was then asked about his experiences. Of course, he has played in Germany, Italy, and Holland. He says, "I gained a lot of experience. I've been at a lot of different clubs, a lot of different situations. Not all the best experiences, but I think from every experience, I became stronger. I got better. Now I'm ready to show it here at Rangers." And then he was asked, "How positive is it for you to really settle in ahead of pre-season and big games early in the season?" And he said, "Getting the chance to get to know the guys, get to know the people at the club. Yeah, do my pre-season here. So I think this is a big, big plus. Also because early in the season, we have the important games coming up. It means the Champions League encounters, of course. So yeah, we have to be ready." And then he was asked, "You're looking forward to meeting your teammates?" He says, "I will enjoy my time back in Holland with my family for the next 2 weeks and then return ready. Now I've walked around here and I'm even more excited to start." Get your thoughts. First of all, Johnny, I thought it was interesting that Michael Beale and his statement on the website saying, of course, he touched on when he went out to Italy to go and meet the player. And Sam Lammers did touch on that, of course, as well. Michael Beale saying on the Rangers website, it says, he went out. "Sam is a player I've been aware of for a number of years. I first knew him as a young player at PSV, and I followed his career closely from afar, and he excelled in Holland, both in the Eredivisie and the under-21 national team." He says, "Sam will give us great technical and tactical quality, being able to play in a variety of attacking positions as a number 10 or 9. He was the first player I met with as part of the planning for the new season. And during our lengthy discussions, it was clear that we share the same ideas on football. and on his personal development moving forward. He has a strong alignment to the other players in the squad. Having recently turned 26, he brings a wealth of experience, having already played in the top leagues in Holland, Germany and Italy. We're delighted he is joining us at Rangers, and I'm looking forward to working closely with him. Thought that was interesting, Jonny. Of course, we know he was out in Italy. He posted, I think he was asked about that in a press conference when he posted pictures on his Instagram page. But of course, he was out there meeting players, and Sam Lammers is certainly a guy that he was looking to bring in, and he has got him. Happy with this acquisition?
Yes, I am. On the surface level, when you go on transfermarket.com and you look at the core numbers, obviously you're going to look at them and go, why would this guy be on Beale's target list? If you actually look at the video footage, it becomes a lot clearer. We're talking about a guy, as he says, as you've just said, Derek, when you're quoting him, a guy who's very two-footed. He can play left or right. He can play 10. He can play 9. This is a guy that is a ball carrier who, despite being 6'3", physically a powerful player, is actually extremely skillful with the ball at his feet. He can take on a man. He can go past a man. Capable of pulling off a moment of excellent skill to give himself a little bit of space. This is the kind of player that Rangers have brought in. I don't think, although he can play as a 9, he's really going to be a guy that's going to be playing at 9. This is another guy that is coming in that is the proverbial can opener. The guy that's going to provide for the guys. Now, if he can add 10 or 12 or 15 goals, then absolutely fantastic. And I think Rangers will be putting a big blue tick next to his name at the end of the season. But I think it's his assist numbers that'll be where the real juice is for Sam Lammers come the end of the season. And Rangers will want to be seeing 15 to 20 in that area. So absolutely for me, I think it's a clever signing. It's one that I don't think can be understood unless you drill into the detail. Josh has written a terrific piece after spending a lot of time, not just on YouTube, folks, but we've got, remember, Y-Scout and StatsBomb and all these things. You know, the Rangers Review has as much access to stats as probably any team outside the city clubs in the Scottish Premiership, put it that way. So I think there's been a lot of work put into that piece, and you really get a sense of what he's got the capability of bringing. One last point, Derek, just before I'm rambling on for too long. I think people have talked about Cantwell as a comparison, a guy with an amazing talent who dropped off for 2 or 3 seasons. Look at the impact he's had by Michael Beale putting his arm around him. If Michael Beale can do the same thing with Lammers, the talent's there. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So he can explode in the same way Cantwell did. I have no doubts about that. This is a guy who, if he's at his top form, Rangers can't afford. So if you can get him and bring him back to that, then you've got a player better than anyone you could ever hope to actually bring in the first instance. I don't agree with that from Stuart Campbell, by the way. That it's not that he's not that kind of player, Stuart. But he's not going to be. He's not the number 9 to replace Morelos. You know, Alfredo Morelos never got more than 18 goals in his entire time, and he's a club legend. We're talking about a guy who plays much further back than Alfredo Morelos. So that's misunderstanding what Lammers is going to do for the team. I think Lammers will be playing in a sort of false 9 role, playing as a number 10. I see him doing a lot of things. He's a classic Beale hybrid player who can fill in a lot of holes. I don't think this is the guy that Rangers are pinning their hopes on. If the Dessers deal comes through, I think that'll be the guy you're saying 20 goals. And I do believe that there's a very high potential, as perhaps Euan can talk in more detail about, of another player coming in. Certainly we know that Rangers are looking at Josh Maja. That's a complex deal, as Euan will discuss, I'm sure. But that says to me that there's more than just Lammers and Dessers on their way in terms of striking.
Yeah, Xander says if he scores 3 a season, he'll be a true Rangers man. Let's hope he gets a few more next season. Lammers, Euan, are you content with that? There's a lot of comments coming. I know Johnny said he's not going to be that guy you hang your hat on in terms of getting you 20 to 25 goals. I spoke to a Frankfurt podcaster, and he said that he could score 1 million goals in training, but he just needs confidence. He had a lot of chances at Frankfurt, but he passed them up. But he says he did say he's an out-and-out striker, but he can set up goals. But it certainly seems like Michael Beale, of course, said that he is a sort of number 10. I'd imagine he will play at number 9 at times. But what's your feeling on the Lammers signing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's understandable that people are questioning his goal return because it's not been great in recent seasons. However, I would kind of caveat that by saying, when Todd Cantwell came to Rangers, his goal record certainly wasn't great over the last few years, and look at the impact he's had in terms of his goal contributions. So, he's come into a league where he's playing for a side who are going to dominate 95% of games. Coming from a team, he's played at teams before who that's not been the case at. So I think he'll surprise people with his numbers in terms of goals and assists. It's interesting that Beale said, he was one of the first players, the first player he spoke to. So, Beale's obviously scouted this guy. He likes him. He knew him from PSV in his youth days. So it's not as if it's a name he's plucked out of the hat. He'll have scouted him extensively, and he'll believe that he can come in and contribute and add something which is missing from the team. So I think you've got to give the guy time to kind of adjust to Scottish football. But with no disrespect to the Scottish game, he's coming from a league in Serie A, which is a much higher level than the Scottish Premiership. So I think that he will surprise people with his contributions.
I'd also add to that, Euan, he's coming from a team that played more games than goals scored. I think they only scored 24 goals, something like that in the season.
Yeah.
So there was not a lot of chances being created by that Sampdoria team, and he's going to come into a completely different scenario at Rangers. He's going to be getting a lot of chances from the 10 position, never mind if he plays further up the pitch. So even if he misses chances, and listen, the greatest striker of my lifetime at Rangers, Alan McCoist, used to miss a barrel load. Okay, he scored 355, but listen, people forget, and people who weren't around for it aren't aware that the great thing about Alan McCoist was that he didn't let it get him down. He would miss chances and then he would score a hat-trick. That's just the way he was. He was irrepressible, and you need that sort of mentality. And that's what it was with Alan McCoist, mentality. And I think Lammers, if he can get his head around that and really exploit it, can reignite his career in Scotland.
Yeah. Big thanks, incidentally. Dean Henderson donated £2 to the channel a few comments ago. So thank you very much for that, Dean. There's also a donation from David McFarlane. Just going slightly off topic before we come back to Lammers. He's donated £5. Very kind of you, David, to do so. Love the show, guys. Are we guaranteed a minimum of Europa League football next season? Is it a case, Johnny? I'm sure it's if Rangers get knocked out at the first hurdle in the Champions League, go into the playoff round in the Europa. If they get through that, then they're guaranteed group stage football in the Europa if they get knocked out of the Champions League playoff. That is my understanding. Is that correct?
My understanding was that you're guaranteed Europa League. I might be wrong. I need to check that up, Derek. What I would say is that there is a significant reason to get through this hurdle, because the third group stage, if you get through that and you get knocked out at the final playoff round, you get a $5 million parachute payment. So it's an absolutely huge game from that point of view. So this is a sort of a comfort blanket that UEFA have created, so that if you go out in the playoff round, you're still getting some cash to make up for the fact that you've not gone into the Champions League. Yeah, Craig, well, that's my understanding as well. If you get knocked out in the third qualifying, you're straight into the Europa.
Interesting, yeah.
Fourth round, you also go straight into the Europa, but you also get this £5 million payment, which I don't need to tell you, it doesn't make up for the not going into the Champions League, but it certainly helps. So that's why it was such a big deal to get past Union St Galwaz last season, and certainly that's why that 3-0 win, which was quite remarkable when you look at what they did afterwards, by the way. I think they got to a quarter-final or a semi-final Europa League. They certainly got very deep.
They got to the quarters.
Yeah, and so that regardless, I think Rangers are in a good spot in terms of European football next year because the club only budget for Europa League football.
Yeah, Xander says, I would love us to qualify for the Champions League, finish third in the group and parachute to the Europa League knockouts and win it. We'd be the last team to do it for the Champions League moving to the league format after next season. Of course, big changes afoot at UEFA with regards to the club competitions. Graham Morrison, just back to Lammers. Morning, lads. Pleased with the Lammers signing, but we need a real Hollywood signing to send a message to the rest. I'll come to you, Euan, because Jonny mentioned Josh Maja as a player we know has been heavily linked. We know that Rangers are interested in him. What's the latest with regards to that? I think it's one that could drag on. Would he be a Hollywood signing?
Yeah, I think Rangers have certainly monitored Maja over the last 6 months. I mean, I was talking about Chris the other day, and when people say he's a free transfer, he's a free agent. I mean, he's not really. There's going to be a significant sign-on fee, and he'll be wanting good wages as well. So it's not going to be a cheap deal to do. I think that this will rumble on. Obviously, Bordeaux had that clause where Maja's contract would be extended by a year if they got promotion to League One. That doesn't look like it's happening at the moment. After their final game of the season was postponed, but I mean they're appealing that decision, so this one could rumble on. I think it's one to keep an eye on over the window. I don't think anything's imminent, certainly not imminent actually, on this. There'll be interest from both England as Maja qualifies as homegrown and other countries around Europe. So it's one to keep an eye on. I think he's a brilliant player. I liked him since he was at Sunderland. I think he was on the Netflix documentary, wasn't he? Sunderland Till I Die.
Yeah.
With Martin Bain.
I was on that as well. So we both have starring roles in that.
Where are you?
I've not received my royalties yet.
I've claimed this.
Okay. I didn't see it, to be honest.
Can't believe you missed it, Euan, and play a starring role.
You and Martin Bain going for his morning swims with the star.
Derek could be seen with a towel, just drying him down afterwards.
Waiting for him to emerge from the shower. No, I think Maja is one that could happen later in the window. I mean, I like him as a player. I always have. I think he may be more of a goal scorer than certainly Lammers and arguably Dessers. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Martin says, Maja, a player I'd love to see at Ibrox would take the league by storm. Want to watch that is for sure. Good to have Greg Simpson join us. Says, join the Rangers review while working away in Kirkwall today. It's always a place that I've always been itching to go to. Any of you boys ever been to Kirkwall before?
No, I get a nosebleed if I go past Dunfermline.
I was going to say I had no idea what it is. It's in Scotland.
Orkney, is it not? Orkney, I think.
Lovely
yeah,
part
so up there, far up north. Euan just mentioned there he had a chat with Chris Jack, and that leads us nicely on to introduce you to our new member scheme, folks. We've launched this with our YouTube channel. You get extra content if you sign up to become a member, just £2.99 a month, up to 3 to 5 extra videos a week. We've had loads of content on the site for our members this week, transfer chats, and as Euan mentioned there, he had a conversation with Chris Jack, who has his finger on the pulse when it comes to Rangers and any developments when it comes to incomings and potential outgoings as well. So if you want to sign up, now is the time to do so. It's a very exciting time for Rangers and also for the channel as well. So just hit the join button on the homepage if you're watching us on YouTube. Has to be the desktop version. If you're on an iPhone or an Android, there is an option where you can download the desktop version to get that join button. Just click that and sign up for £2.99 a week. You will not be disappointed if you do so. Right, let's get to a few more comments.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yes.
There will be people watching this now, not live, but on the playback that sits on YouTube, and there's thousands of views from people who don't watch it live. And the number one complaint we get is, why are there so many ads? This is unwatchable with all these ads. Well, the good news is if you're part of the membership, we repost the morning briefing with no ads. So if you've been moaning at me in the comments about the ads, guys, I've solved it for you. So yes, that's a big selling point as well. Not only will you get all that extra content, you'll get all the morning briefs and everything we do without any ads.
Yeah, ad-free, folks. So, certainly worth it. As Anders says, enjoyed the member vid released yesterday. Good work, gents. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Right, other news affecting Rangers. As Jonny mentioned, folks, there is a great scouting report on Sam Lammers on the website this morning. So do go and check it out. There's also, as I mentioned, that interview I did with the Frankfurt podcaster who talked about his time with the German side. So, well worth a watch if you have time this afternoon. Also, a bit of news regarding players that have departed Rangers. I want to get your views on this. Scott Arfield, first of all, Jonny, heading out. He's apparently rejected offers from the Championship, instead favouring a switch to America. He's going to join Charlotte FC and he's going to play in the MLS. This was broke yesterday by the Sky Sports journalist Michael Bridge. He reports that Arfield has agreed a deal to head to the United States. See him doing well over there. I think it's a good move for him. It's a fresh challenge. There's still part of me, Jonny, that thinks should Rangers have offered him a new deal?
Well, I know where you're coming from, but I would have erred on the side of, look, it was the best time. Scott leaves, a very, very popular player. And at 34, he's young enough to go to another club and get a decent contract. And you see that 2 years away with an American MLS club, it's a pretty good deal, isn't it? And I'm sure they'll go out there and absolutely love life in America, nice weather. You know, Scott will do a lot on the pitch, I'm quite sure. I think he scored, 9-10 goals last season? So he's still got that ability to get on the end of through balls with third man runs. And he's always been a terrific finisher. So I think he'll add a lot. And not just on the pitch, because one of the things, if you talk to people around Rangers, and I'm talking multiple people, they always say the same thing when Scott Arfield's brought up, which is outstanding professional, great with the young players, a guy who's just fantastic to have around the club, terrific attitude, and just a super professional. So I think he goes with every Rangers fan's best wishes, and he's absolutely deserving of that because he always gave his best. There was never a sense, you think of someone like Alfredo Morelos, where he wasn't quite always reaching his capability. You felt like he was a bit mercurial. Some games you could look at him and go, really, Alfie, are you putting in your best in this one against St Johnstone at McDiarmid Park? Or are you holding it back for Porto away? Whereas I think Scott was very, very, very consistent. If Scott was playing, the effort level, the aggression, it was always the same. He obviously had patches where he was very, very good and patches where he wasn't so good. And he was a player who was a bit streaky, to be honest, in terms of his goal-scoring form. But in terms of effort application, I thought he was very consistent and an excellent professional. So, I think he'll be sorely missed.
Yeah, we wish him all the best over there in the United States. Let's get to a few comments that come in. John Adams has kindly donated to the channel. Thank you, John. He says, what's happening with Tom Lawrence? I think the last time Michael Beale gave an update on him, it'll be the back end of pre-season. So
yes.
Not a specific date on that one. But, Jonny, pretty much like Yanis Hadji, this is one that... Should we expect the same Tom Lawrence that we've seen in the first few weeks of last season? I think we're going to need to be a little bit patient with him and trying in his battle to get up to speed with the rest of the squad.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's a really, really difficult time to come back. I would not be in the least bit surprised if Tom Lawrence, for example, went out on 6 months of loan because. Wow. Beale's talked about how much he likes him as a player, how much he's keen to work with him. Beale's not trained with him once. That's how bad the injury's been. The entire time Beale's been at the club, Tom Lawrence hasn't even been able to train. But I sat across from Yanis Hadji and asked him about the psychological impact of a serious injury. And he said to me, he was talking about an ACL, and listen, Tom Lawrence has got a different injury to that, but he said, look, it's no joke. You don't realise until you've gone through it. You think you're going to be back for a certain date, and then that's it. But you're coming back when everyone else is super fit.
Yeah.
Everyone else is flying, and you're just starting. So it takes a long time to get up, and you can't get in the team because everyone else is there and you're not. And you think if Tom Lawrence is coming back, maybe August, early August, late July, that's a time when Rangers are facing must-win games.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for any player to get in at that point. So I just look at it from those point of view. Unless Tom Lawrence is going to be seen as a fundamental element of the Beale machine, and that Beale will want to put him in immediately, maybe losing a bit in terms of fitness, but that his quality is enough he'll add to the starting 11, then that's the only way I can see him getting enough games to get back up to speed quickly at Rangers. So other than that, I think it's a possibility that maybe a short-term loan move to go and get games so he comes back firing in January. To me, that would make sense. But, I don't know what Euan thinks on it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, would you be opposed to that, sending Tom Lawrence out on loan to get up to match sharpness?
It depends. It depends. When he comes back and in what condition he comes back in. And I think he might make an impact next season. Tom Lawrence, I like him. I think technically he's really good. He's got a goal and assist in him. I think sometimes when you play the smaller sides in the league, that he could be a real asset. You have to be cautious when players come back from injury. Look at Hadji, for example. I don't think he's came back the same player. That's no disrespect to Yanis, but I think there's been times where you can tell he's had a long-term injury and that's affected him. I look at was it the game he scored in against Hibs? He obviously got that goal. It was lovely scenes for him to get that. But I mean, in the first half, he was miles off it. The pace of the game. So yeah, I think it'll be a waiting game for Tom Lawrence. Obviously back in pre-season. The other thing you got to remember is that Connor Goldson is also injured. So it'll be interesting what time that Connor comes back, because you'd hope to have him back in for the Champions League games. That could be really important.
Yeah.
Well, that's an example of a player that will just be brought back in. That's exactly what I was talking about. And I want to stress, I'm not got any information about Tom Lawrence. I'm surmising here based on what I've seen with previous players that have had big injuries, and just the competition in that area for Tom Lawrence now. I'm like you, and I think he's a terrific player based on what we saw at the start of last season, who will add a lot in the Premiership. But I don't think it's going to be easy for him to get back in, and I don't think he'll be a player like Goldson who will be just, he's fit and therefore he's back. And for a couple of games he's going to be a bit rusty, but the quality that he adds, we just need to get him back and up to speed, and those rusty games are the price you have to pay for it. Will Beale see Lawrence as being that important? I have my doubts, so it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, he's pretty well stacked in that position. Yes, it's fair to say. So, yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what happens with Tom Lawrence. Let's get to a few more comments before we wrap up. Ian Ross says, great to see Raskin scoring twice for the Belgian under-21s last night. Scored a double against Israel in quick succession. Could he be hitting 20 goals next season, Euan, on that form?
Have we given him the second? Was it the second goal with massive deflection?
Was that Scott Nisbet style goal, wasn't it?
I don't know if that was on target, but let's give him it anyway. 20 goals? No. I'll be firm on that. I don't think so. I think he'll play deeper next season, but I think he's a tremendous in prospects. And I think Rangers will be hoping he can get into the Belgium senior squad at one point, because that would really boost his value if he can get in that squad. They've also got an Asian squad. I always still remember Belgium with like Fellaini and Witsel playing centre mid. So. Obviously, Fellaini doesn't play anymore, but I think Raskin's a player who, of all the signings, could potentially have one of the highest values in the future. So I think he's the one that, certainly if his age as well, that could be a real asset, and he definitely fits into the well documented player trading model.
Yeah, Gallant Pioneer says his second went down as an OG. Well, if I was Nico, I'd be claiming that one, that's for sure. And we'll finish up just on this. It just follows on. I've seen a few videos he posted on his Instagram, obviously working hard and on his fitness. Alex Lowry says, what's going to happen with him this season? That's an interesting one, Jonny. I know you touched on Tom Lawrence and potentially sending him out on loan. I think I would be inclined to send Alex out on loan if he's not going to get much of a look in next season. And in terms of loan deals, I'd be looking at teams down south or even abroad for him to further his development. What do you think is going to happen with Alex?
No, listen, Derek, I couldn't be any more in agreement with you on that. I think it's time for Alex to go and get first-team football. A decision should be made at the start of this season if he's going to get that. And if he's not, then you can get more from him by sending him away to get it. Now, you're going to have to find a team that play in a certain way that gets the best out of Lowry. But do you know what, Derek? And this is a thing, this is a sort of mentality that permeates Scottish football from top to bottom. There's a sense that Alex Lowry's still a kid. He's got all the time in the world. He's not. He needs to get out. He's 19 years old. Jude Bellingham is 19, has just signed for Real Madrid. Jude Bellingham has played 133 games already, from 41 for Birmingham in the Championship when he was 16 years old, 29 for Dortmund in the first season, 32 in the second season, 31 in the third season. You need to get these games under your belt so that you're ready to rock and roll as a footballer. It's as simple as that. And I just think you leave it another year of him scratching away, getting maybe 10 performances. I don't think that's good for him. He's a player of real immense talent. But Rangers, and this is the big challenge for the club, they need to find, I think, a team that is going to get the best out of Alex Lowry. I'd like to see him to go to Dutch football, French football, Italian football, maybe a side aiming for promotion into the top division, a league where he's got a bit more time. He can concentrate on developing those really good technical skills that he has in a ball-dominant side that is looking to win many games. Try to replicate that challenge that he'll have at Rangers. Now, Michael Beale might be watching this, tearing his hair out, saying, no, Lowry's going to be a major part. But I look at Lammers coming in. I look at Hadji. Is Lowry better than Hadji? I don't think he's shown that. I really like the lad. He's homegrown. It's important Rangers bring players through. He's probably the most talented kid that I've seen come through at the club in a number of years, probably since Barry Mackay, and in terms of technical talent. And I think he needs to be making a jump now, an acceleration of development. And he'll only get that with 30 or 40 games at a professional level. So for me, it's absolutely time for that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens with him. And we love a bit of optimism in the morning just on Bellingham. Tam Brown says, hopefully Bellingham bombs and we get him on the cheap. Well, he did say he loved Ibrox, didn't he, when he came with Borussia Dortmund. I'm not entirely sure he'd get a game right enough with the midfield that we have. No, only kidding. I think what a class act that young lad is, and wish him all the best at Real Madrid. The fact he took the number 5 jersey as well shows the confidence in him. It really is a fantastic player. I think he's going to go on to achieve great things at Real Madrid. So all the very best to him. The other thing that'll do is there, folks. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. It is very much appreciated. Huge thanks to Euan and Jonny. As I mentioned, lots of great content on the website. Just now head over to rangersreview.co.uk. If you want to subscribe to the page as well, just £18 for an entire year's worth of content. You'll not be disappointed with what you're getting for that, folks. Right, we'll be back again on Monday, but until then, enjoy your Friday and the rest of your weekend. Bye for now.